Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for another fabulous speed build. Today we are building in the world of San Myshuno on a penthouse lot. San Myshuno is the world that came with City Living, and for those of you who have been here for a bit, then you know I tend to shy away from penthouse lots as well as just apartment lots in general. I feel like I'm maybe not the best at building them, but I wanted to take the challenge on today as, if you could not tell by the title of this video, I was building a penthouse inspired by one of my favorite books, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn, Hugo. Listen. I've had this on my brain for a while, but then I was rereading this just, the end of summer. Why not? Let's do it to it. And I thought, you know what would make this better? Let's completely hyperfixate on this and translate it over into The Sims, my other hyperfixation. And I will tell you, I was in the trenches with this build. There is a lot, and I mean a ton, of freaking exterior film that I simply just cut out of the video. I had a difficult time kind of deciding how I wanted it to look because I had a very specific vision and I had just like so many options to choose from between all of the life and death objects, the for rent stuff, the love struck items, base game items. Like, I was just freaking too many options almost at a certain point, and I wanted it to look perfect because I was just like thinking about it so much. I promise you guys do not want to see how long this speed build would have been had I left all the content in, but it is starting to take its final shape. The shape itself was not the thing I struggled with. I just had a lot of difficulties with the freezes, and I made fake balconies with wall decor. I made real balconies with actual fencing. Then at one point my game started to glitch with the platforms I was using, and it was literally nightmarish. I had to rage quit over a platform on the second balcony, which is in the back of the build, which you cannot see right now. And here I was thinking, this is going to be fun. This thing took me many build sessions. Like, overall, I probably have, I don't know, like 8-9 hours of footage. And then obviously it's sped up, but more so than that, I cut a lot of it out because I had to go back and do things that you already saw me film. I had to go back and fix things. Then, like, randomly I'd load into the game to start building the interior and the freezes weren't working, or the paint was glitching, or whatever was happening. But all in all, I'm really proud of how the build came out. As you can see, as we kind of start getting into the color scheme of the exterior of the build, I was really struggling. I absolutely adore those windows that come with the Strangerville game pack, which I know, like, this might be silly, but I have bought Sims DLC for less for more money, because I can tell you part of my main reason for wanting Get Together is that white column that I use on all my suburban houses, and I was not comfortable admitting that for a while, but I've been really working on myself, so I can admit that is probably half the reason I bought the pack. So if you are thinking about buying Strangerville so you can have those glorious build assets, there is no judgment here, sister. I used some really interesting kind of color scheme. Overall, I wanted to originally use like this deep green color, as you can kind of see on the exterior, and I was using assets from the Cozy Bistro kit, which I do end up using a lot throughout this build. But something about the green, it just like didn't have enough of that color for what I needed it for with the exterior, because I was trying to like match like her little green dress. I thought that'd be so cute, so perfect. But unfortunately, I end up going with something else. I believe I end up with like a kind of solid black, white, and like wood color scheme. I do believe these doors are like the final ones I end up using. And those are actually archways that came with the Cozy Bistro kit that I kind of use as those open doors. I know there's some ways you can just like build it out, but it kind of has a lighting glitch. Now, I'm going to be honest, the doors that I use also have like a minor lighting glitch, but it was something I personally could live with. You'll have to let me know in the comments once you see the final build. Like, is it something you could live with in your gameplay? I really didn't think it was that bad overall. Oh, goodness. When I decided to make those indents different, so like the interior of the house had a more interesting shape, as soon as I did it, instant regret, but I knew it was going to look good. So I just like committed, and let me tell you, I had to go back and just keep adding stuff I had already done over and over and over again. I want to say at least a third of this build is just interior stuff, which is odd. Not because, like, this is a very large build. At least in my opinion, I think it's a pretty large build. But normally for me, like, it's the interior that takes so long. The exterior of this build is a relatively simple shape. It's very square. There's no like crazy circular walls or anything like that, but I struggled. As we kind of move on in, I'm trying to just make sure that my lot is like usable because I couldn't actually save and exit the game without adding some of this stuff in. But I ended up cutting out the floor plan simply because it took me quite a long time and I thought it was kind of boring. As you can see, we're kind of jumping into this more interior thing, and I'm still trying to go with this green color scheme because I wanted to match your dress. Okay, sue me. I told you guys, I take a color and I run with it, and I almost always take it too far. I do end up kind of furnishing the common space of the first floor and then deciding I want to maybe go back and, I don't know, change literally all of it. So sorry, guys. I told you, I just could not make up my mind. And that's one reason this build took me so long, because when I went into it, I was like, I have a vision. And then when I started to build it and translate it into The Sims, it was like, ooh, that doesn't work the way you thought. And I wasn't going to crash out, but I did consider it a couple times because I don't know. I just had my heart set on something looking glorious, and it was not looking glorious the way I had it. One thing I will say about this kitchen, it is huge. It's ginormous, and I think it's personally glorious. And then halfway through building this, because I told you I built this over several weeks, kind of just as I had time. I do have a full-time job and a part-time job and 2 dog children that rely on me to keep them happy, and I'm growing grass. So like, you know, I've been busy. So I built this over a few weeks, and as I was building it, some of new kits actually came out, and I ended up going back through and like adding little details here and there. Side note, nothing irks me like having my phone go off when I'm just trying to do my little filming. And then even more irritating is I look down and it's like an ad from Kate Spade or Steve Madden, or like it's an ad text. And then I got a Snapchat back to back to back that I also cut out so you guys didn't hear the noise. And it's literally a Snapchat ad. These people must be stopped. Why am I getting Snapchat ads as notifications? I am doing my very best to clutter up the kitchen, and I actually have the tendency to typically go through my builds, and I feel like as a person and as a builder, I have the tendency to kind of like miss keen details the first time I go through. So a lot of the time, especially for my large builds or builds that I have like a storyline going for, I like to go through at the end before I upload it on a gallery, or just like the last like 10 minutes you see my footage is me just like jumping around. A lot of the time I cut it out because I'm bouncing around so much, and just adding in a couple few like last minute clutter items or detail items that I saw, like extra paintings, extra plants, whatever, just to make the space feel more lived in. I absolutely love a Sims build that feels realistic and lived in and cluttered and just absolutely glorious. But especially for a space this size, I absolutely needed to make sure this kitchen was cluttered, because if it wasn't, it was just gonna feel like weird, like an EA build, but like a 2014 EA build where you're like, why is this whole house actually a mansion and there's like a toilet in the middle of the room and literally nothing else? That's what I was trying to avoid my very best. So I end up doing a pretty good job this like first round through, but I know for a fact I go up and end up cluttering it up a bit more, as well as changing the cabinets. You will probably see the jump here in the next couple of minutes of when I went ahead and just changed the color scheme of things. I believe I cut that footage out because I don't think you guys wanted me to go through and individually swatch change like everything in the house, at least in the kitchen and the dining area I end up doing. I also end up closing off the floor plan a little bit more and using a variety of different floors and tiles and carpets and textures and wall paintings, or wall paint and wallpaper, just to like kind of close the space off a little bit more, because it felt more true to the style, as well as like it helped with how massive the house was. For those of you who have not read the book, let me tell you, you are missing out. Anywho, for those of you who have not read the book, I don't want to spoil it for you because I think you should read it. I like to gift this book to people who either used to like to read and kind of fell out of it because life happens or you get busy, or people who say they don't really like to read. I think it really reignites something. I have given this as a gift several times, and almost everyone I can think of who I've given a copy to is now a pretty avid reader because they kind of got back into it. Not to flex on anyone. The premise of the book, though, is there is someone who interviews Miss Evelyn Hugo, who was a movie star and had lots of interpersonal dramas happening. But the interview takes place in her very large apartment building, and this is kind of just how I imagined it looking. I did end up adding a couple other things to make the house itself more playable if you were to download it. For example, the house overall, I believe, ends up being 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. I added an office as well. I decided to forego a gym because it just didn't really seem true to like why this little old lady in the novel Old Superstar would be. I don't know. I decided she didn't need a private gym. Sue me. But I did end up decorating one of the rooms to be a nursery. And like some of the other rooms I imagine are for like kids. I don't know. Maybe teenagers. It's a big house. And even if I was like 6 or 7 years old and my mother was a famous superstar model and we lived in a ginormous 8,000 square foot apartment, I would expect that I would definitely have at least a queen size bed still. You know, like why have a twin or a full when you have 1,000 square foot bedroom? I lost on me. Plus, I really needed to fill the space so this house didn't look all sad. Speaking of fill the space, the amount of bookshelves in this house, bookshelves and fireplaces. It's hysterical, to be honest. I think there's 3 or 4 fireplaces over the entire build, and I want to say that there's like 13 or 14 bookcases. When we do the final tour, maybe I'll remember to like count them up so you guys can see them. But like, I don't know, it felt right. And I was on Reddit because why wouldn't I be? There was this thread regarding like things that rich people can buy that normal people don't even think about because they don't have like FU money. And one of them was talking about how there's a company where you can literally like order the kind of books you want or like give them a preference list, and they'll basically like speed date a bunch of books, and they'll take the measurements of your shelves and they will bound the book titles they select for you or that you select in like coordinating like leather bounds and book bounds for you so it matches your aesthetic. And let me tell you, I just know that this queen has that. I know that she has them in several rooms, several colors. She's a repeat customer. And that was what I used to justify the amount of bookshelves I had, because I don't normally build things this big. I don't normally play in apartments either, because I played in an apartment once and I had a family dog and I could not like get them to constantly take the dog on a walk because they live in the apartment, so you have to take them on an actual walk. And I was constantly losing my dog or like constantly forgetting to take him out, and he was feeling neglected, and then he'd run away, and then I would think I was a bad person, and I was deeply traumatized from the entire experience. So I don't play in apartments all that much. I think it's a pain in the arse. Anyhow, I decided this was a nice little step up from my fun little Suburbans that I normally do, and I try to add in some fun details like the trophies from the acting career or the singing career. I don't even know what careers they're from. They were giving the vibe of like, I am a famous actress, and I put them in there. Sometimes I really do just go off vibes, and that might bother some people, but unfortunately I have no plans to change. Of course, this house could not be complete with a beautiful piano. This piano is actually from, I believe, the Wedding Stories pack. I used certain packs just constantly, repetitively, and I end up kind of liking that because all these packs kind of match to me. As you can see, we just switched over and I ended up changing the color scheme, and I tried to do something a little bit like not quite romantic, but not harsh. Like this house is somewhere between Bella Goth and Evelyn Hugo. And I think you'll kind of understand what I'm saying, or you're going to get to the end of the video and you're going to think I'm nuts. Please just agree with me anyways. The packs I used predominantly in this build, I want to say, is the Wedding Stories game pack, Life and Death expansion, the Cozy Bistro kit I used a lot, the Sanctuary kit, the new Bella Goth kit that came out. I used the Secret Sanctuary kit quite a bit, and I used a lot of Love Struck as well as the Book Nook kit, which is my favorite kit of all time. It's so freaking good. But I ended up bouncing around for the next couple minutes. I do apologize for that, but I was just like trying to add some things in and kind of figure out what I want. You can see me changing the color scheme over here a little bit more to that like romantic burgundy kind of vibe. And overall, I really liked it. I love this rug that comes from Love Struck. It has such good swatches. You can see the seam a little bit, but this living room in itself was just so big. And even in the end of it, I wasn't as thrilled with it as I would have hoped. Like looking back before I kind of uploaded it to the gallery or to my library and whatnot, I was like, damn, this still feels like kind of empty. And it's really not. It's genuinely not. It's just such a large space. I probably could have reworked the floor plan a tiny bit to have it not feel quite as open and empty as it is, which is why I ended up closing off the kitchen as well as the dining area. But I still feel like I'm not really sure what I could have done. If you have any ideas down below, like in the comments, just let me know once we do the final tour, because I do actually really enjoy using like any ideas that I have, because I feel like I've become a better builder since I started making content, and definitely since I started building in The Sims 4. I don't even think I used to be a build girly. I used to be someone who was like hanging on by a thread to find herself a base game only budget builder. And that is because I didn't know about cheats. I was just a little sim baby doing her best, trying to have fun. And by have fun, I mean I was unsupervised with access to the family laptop, and I would woohoo pretty much every single time Jeffrey Landgrab, and then I would kill him off, and I would always make Nancy move out with Malcolm. This is in The Sims 3, by the way. Move them out, take all his money, and then just redesign his mansion in The Sims 3 for like several hours until I got bored, and then just started a new save file where I did it all again. It is so funny to me sometimes to think about how I used to play The Sims as opposed to like kind of how I play now. Because when I played The Sims 3 and I was a small child, first of all, my sim was stealing husbands. My sim was marrying the first male sim that they found. My sim was always like this thin and like had just big boobs and super long eyelashes, because why else would I make them anyway else? Like, I don't know. It's just so funny to see how I play now. And not that I'm above like murder or anything in The Sims, but I feel like I'm more fun to watch play The Sims, as well as I have more fun as an adult. But I also have so many questions why I had that much unsupervised access to not just The Sims and the family laptop, but like the internet in general. Thank God I wasn't doing anything bad. I was just watching like Life Simmer and like stumbling upon like Bethany Motovlogs. But in hindsight, I could have been doing bad stuff. Like, we are moving into the one and only downstairs bedroom, where I used this wallpaper from, I believe, the Cozy Bistro kit. And I will say it is one of my favorite in the entire games. The swatches on it are, they're stunning. They really are just so beautiful. And I like pretty much every one they have. I use it quite a few times in this build overall, I believe. But this downstairs bedroom, I used a mixture of a lot of the deluxe luxury living kit or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. The one that this bed came in, but the curtains that came in that pack are such a slay, and I use them all the time. Again, I don't think you should buy a kit or a pack or a game pack or anything, any DLC for one thing. But that would be the pot calling the kettle black, because I have done that several times. And I can tell you, part of the reason I purchased that kit was because the curtains. I'm pretty sure I purchased it. I don't think I was in the EA Creator Network when that came out, but I guess I can go back and look. I don't know why I would. I don't want to rain on my own parade. But this room was so huge. I had a difficult time trying to figure out kind of what I wanted to do furniture-wise. Almost every single bedroom in this entire apartment has an ottoman, and something about my brain just codes having an ottoman at the foot of your bed as uber fancy. As someone who just recently purchased an ottoman for the end of her bed, not because I'm fancy, but because my dog jumps on my bed and she's not very athletic. My bed is also abnormally tall. It has a box spring and it's a pretty tall frame, and it's a king size bed. So it's a pretty tall mattress. And I'm worried that she's going to hurt herself. So I bought that in hopes that she would jump on it and then jump on the bed. Spoiler alert, now she just jumps over both. I am even more concerned than I was before, but at least I'm fancy and I have a little ottoman at the foot of my bed. We are moving on into the primary bedroom, and this is when I wanted to bring some of the green back for my queen, Evelyn. I really enjoyed this room. As you can see, it obviously needed a fireplace, and it got an ottoman, and I'm probably willing to bet that there's also a bookshelf in this house somewhere, some shape, some form. And I know it even has a sitting area. I also think if you have a bedroom big enough to have a sitting area, you're in a different tax bracket than myself. You are. Sometimes I watch my recordings back and I just see like myself randomly kind of jump to something else. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what am I doing? And I'm sure for you, it must be like painful to watch. I'm using these frames from the Casanova kit that's Don Lothario's. And something about it was kind of giving like Evelyn and Celia St. James vibes. And like for the storyline, that's what I was getting. If you don't know what I'm talking about, shh, don't spoil it for the people who don't know what I'm talking about. But I was trying really hard to keep the storyline kind of going throughout the house. But I also didn't build this house as an idea of like kind of following the storyline. I don't know. I was a little all over the place. And at some times, this felt like a fever dream. But it came together really super cute. The green in this room might be a little overkill, but I kind of love it. I'm not going to lie. I just think everything came together really super nice and feels really super fancy. I like the way the archways let in the natural light, and they didn't really mess with the lighting as much as I thought. Now, in the other side of the building, I do think the lighting is a little bit off, and I think you'll notice what I'm saying when we do our walkthrough. But it's also on the back side of the apartment, so at the time I was filming this, and I had like the afternoon lighting on, there was like direct sunlight coming in through, and I used dark color scheme in this particular bedroom, so I don't think it mattered that much. We are now swapping over into the second living room, the billiard, I don't really know what you call this room, but I know I like it. I used the fireplace from the Vampires game pack. I don't know if I've ever really used that outside of maybe a couple holiday spooky builds, but I use this swatch with the burgundy, and that's why I use the little red love seat from the Crystal Creations kit and this kind of mauve purple, I don't know if that's the right word, but like dusty purple sofa from Cottage Living to match the Vampire's fireplace. And I really think it came out kind of good. And like, please let me know if you don't think it matches, like very nicely. But if you don't think it matches and I totally miss a mark, I am like willing to accept that, because I was like, does this match? Does it not match? This room ended up being like one of my favorites in the entire houses. I have the entire room kind of centered around this large portrait painting from the Love Struck expansion pack. And I also just love the dusty pinks, the purples, the deep reds. It really is giving Evelyn Hugo meets Bella Goth in the best way. The bookshelves actually are from the Secret Sanctuary kit as well. And I just love the underlighting that they had. It just created a really nice soft like glow. I know I would be sitting in there plotting world domination, total takedown, and loving every freaking second of it. We are moving on into this like pink room. Like I said, I was trying to make some of these rooms kind of playable and usable if you were to download this build and you wanted to have your Sims family live in it. So I imagine either a child Sim or maybe a teenager lives in this room and did try to make it a more youthful vibe, but you could always delete some of the aspects in this room and just have it be a regular guest room. The bed is actually from the For Rent expansion pack, and I have to tell you guys, I love it. I love it. It reminds me a lot of my bed in real life, except it does have less throw pillows, and mine is like bluey and orange colored. It's cute in real life, I promise. When I told everyone I was decorating my room and it was gonna be like blue and orange, people were like, what the heck? And then they saw it and they're like, wait, this is a sleigh. This is a sleigh. And I would show you guys pictures, but that feels very invasive. And I can almost guarantee you that there's laundry all over my room because I have been working a lot. But in order to kind of sell this like, oh, it's for like a teen, I ended up adding in just like another desk, even though this house does have a dedicated office. I thought it was like fun and usable and just made a lot of sense. And I absolutely love the wallpaper in here. It's been a while since I used it. It used to be an absolute go-to. This is wallpaper from the Paranormal Stuff pack, if you believe it. And you remember when I talked about buying kits for literally one build asset or one object or one gameplay feature? I will say the ghost hunting tour is like, or the ghost hunting career is like pretty fun, especially as active careers go. But I can tell you, I did not know that when I bought the pack. I bought the pack for that wallpaper. I work 80 hours a week, okay? And I am really sensible with my money. I buy secondhand. I wear clothes. The jeans I'm wearing, I've had since I was a freshman in high school, okay? Like, I try to be sensible. Not when it comes to buying packs from EA. And I don't know, guys. This is my confession to you. we're moving on in to this cute little nursery that I ended up building. Now, in hindsight, the curtains that I use, the open flame candles, I'm gonna pretend they're battery powered, but like if they're not, that is so dangerous. And I use this new wallpaper from the For Rent pack, as well as these like wall decal things that came with the eccentric kit. I can't remember the name of it, but you guys know the one I'm talking about, I hope. And I thought it was stunning. I'm gonna be obsessed with that. I just know it. But I did think the lighting in the room was like a tad dark. So you'll have to tell me if you think it needs more lighting. I can always go through and add more lights if I didn't already. Now we are moving into one of the final rooms in the entire house, which is just this like office. And I again used some of the wallpapers from the eccentric living kit or whatnot. And I don't get to use it very much, but I do like it. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I think just putting it on 2 walls and then using kind of a plain wallpaper and a different tone and color made it really fun. And I just went through and added a lot of like clutter items from, oh, another bookshelf. A lot of clutter items from Get Famous, just to kind of sell the vibe that like Miss Evelyn herself, like when you come to her home, this is where she takes her meetings. If you were sitting in this office conducting business, not in that billiard room, you are not a friend. You are a business partner. And I just really thought it came together. I did a couple more trophies because obviously my girl is slaying the game and whatnot. But the room itself is pretty small. I pretty much made this office centered around the large safe that comes from Get Famous that you can like padlock and put simoleons in because I thought it was fun. And then I complemented everything with these cute curtains from high school years. And that is pretty much like the end of the office. I believe you're gonna see me flash through and just do a couple of things on the patio, which I was a little lost about doing because I didn't have as much space as I thought. I end up doing some little lounge chairs from the Wedding Stories pack and adding in some Riviera Retreat items in the way of like the towel holder, as well as the kind of iron pergola, I think is what you would call that. And then I just finished it with a little bit more outdoor furniture, a fireplace, and I believe I also left in the back balcony, which turns out pretty cute overall. But the outside ends up being nothing special because it didn't really fit the storyline. Like, don't get me wrong, if I had this, the balcony terrace area would be like, oh, I'd be living. Actually, I don't know. The older I get, the more afraid of I am of heights. And the iron railing looking down 8 stories does freak me out a little bit. So I don't know if I would personally enjoy it. But I can tell you, it's probably a vibe at night, like seeing the city lights and all the stars, and you have like the cute little pool and you have a fire pit. I don't know. Rich people things. What can I say? We're getting onto this little back terrace, and I used the new tile floors from the For Businesses and Hobbies. Oh my goodness, not that. I think I confused Businesses and Hobbies with For Rent for some reason, and please don't ask me why. And I have a little throwback moment because a lot of this patio ends up being the Bloomin' Rooms kit, as well as the outdoor retreat, or not outdoor retreat, the backyard game pack from like circa 2015, 2016. And I can tell you, I really ended up enjoying the way it came together. I used some new plants from the Enchanted by Nature pack, obviously, but pretty much like those 4 packs are what is all over this little terrace. And I like the way it came out. It felt very lived in and also gave another element of like an actual task to do. Okay, team, we're going to ignore the fact that I talked over myself again. Apparently 28.5 minutes of straight yap to literally no one but myself in the comfort of my office was not enough. But we are in my game to do a live tour, and we're also going to ignore the fact that I actually am wearing a different outfit because this is a different day. I actually had a meeting for work that I just like raced home from because it ran over. Anyway, guys, this is our final build. She is a gorgeous girl, if I do say so myself, and obviously I do because I kind of came up with the idea myself. And the penthouse lot is proving to be literally impossible to take a good screening for, so if the thumbnail for this build does not look super appealing, please don't come for me. I am doing my absolute best, but I'm gonna give you guys like a little 360. I told you guys earlier that the overall shape of the house is very, very simple. I like made these kind of fake columns. I really like the way that these friezes look on the different floor levels, and of course they're giving me some trouble, and I'm not gonna crash out about it. I'm just gonna fix it. Why is this happening? Thank you. Thank you. But let's go on in, and I'm going to show you guys a top-down view of the floor plan really quick. I'll turn my grid on. But again, this is a really large freaking apartment. And I think it's complete with 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 2 living rooms, and an office space with a safe. So it's looking pretty good. Starting in the front, we have this like kind of entryway. I wanted there to be an actual like nice front door rather than just kind of appearing and spawning into the apartment. I don't know why. It just kind of felt easier to build the floor plan around that. Then you walk right into this formal dining room, and I actually managed to use this chandelier, which is from the Paranormal Stuff pack. I was shocked myself because I almost never use the light, but it felt right. The vibes felt good, and I really love these movie posters I added in from the Sims 4 Get Famous expansion pack. And I paired it all together with this table and chair set, I believe, from Life and Death. Don't come for me if that's wrong. I'm trying my best here. And this cute rug from Growing Together. I love that rug. I use it all the time. Then we move in to this gorgeous kitchen, and I did eventually get back to the green. I normally pick my wall swatches off camera simply because I'm very indecisive. Something I added in off camera is this kind of like wall here. I went ahead and added this like bar backing thing, and then this shelf with some kitchen clutter on top because the wall itself felt barren. I ended up doing this kind of like little bump out. You could definitely turn it into a half bath if you so felt the desire or need, but it gave a more interesting shape to the overall kitchen. And I really loved getting to use these appliances from Growing Together. They are my favorite in the entire game. The gold accents. In real life, there's a company and brand called Schmeg, and they make like retro-esque looking pastel appliances. They are so expensive. Even the toaster is like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But I went nanny for some people that had the appliances for them, and let me tell you, talk about a vision board of a kitchen. Overall, I think the kitchen looks really good. I love all the clutter I have, and there's still plenty of space for your Sims to be able to cook, because sometimes kitchen clutter can make it a little difficult for your Sims to kind of function around it, but they're fine. They're doing their best. Over here we have our beautiful piano from the My Wedding Stories pack, and one painting I use like really consistently throughout the entire house is actually these little frames right here. I believe they came with the Cozy Bistro kit, and they just come in some really fun swatches that felt really true to like the story I was personally trying to tell in this apartment. So I used it twice here, and I think several other times throughout the home. I used a dual wide staircase. That's how you know this house is fancy. And the living room is just so big. I was up last night thinking about it because all I do is think about The Sims, and I am a raging insomniac. My big regret for this house is I just feel like the living room is too big. I almost wish it was like one tile shorter on. Over here, we of course have this really cute moody hall bath. I ended up cutting out all the bathrooms because I normally just make them very samey, but in this build I actually didn't. Then of course we have the ensuite on the other side, which is for our guest room or whatever kind of bedroom you want. I actually really enjoy the color scheme that ended up coming out here. It's like blue, black, and brown, which in my opinion are 3 colors that typically you don't see going together. But I started going with it with this rug and this bed from the deluxe living kit, and I just ran with it, and I'm really happy with how it came out. That, of course, has attachments to this balcony. In hindsight, it would be so awkward to, like, have a guest room that everyone walks through, even if it's not a permanent bedroom, just, like, your designated guest room to get on the terrace right here. But I love the way this terrace came out. I love all the fun greenery, and I use these plants, which were part of the Christmas time holiday reward event that they did a few months back that have, like, the pretty lights. So, like, in the evening, they glow, and I'm sorry, I'm obsessed. Moving on upstairs, I also cut out the hallway because it just seemed irrelevant, but I do like the flow of it. And then you come on into this beautiful office, which we finished furnishing last in the speed build. And can I just say, this whole office to me is giving complete utter girl boss. It's also kind of giving Wicked, but like maybe in a good way. And I haven't actually seen the movie yet, but I'm planning on watching it this weekend, so watch out, guys. I'm about to be insufferable. Over here, we have that little nursery area. I feel like the room itself is kind of barren, but that's because I had a difficult time with the wall space. Overall, the lighting was bothering me more when I was furnishing it, but looking at it now, it doesn't look too bad. But I'm also just obsessed with, like, this whole wall here. I use this little, like, wall decal thing from, I'm not even sure what pack this is from high school years, because I thought it was kind of like one of those cute nameplates that you see in the baby nurseries. Across the hall, we have the primary bedroom, which is just the most beautiful Evelyn Hugo green you could ever freaking imagine. And this room was ginormous, but unlike the living room, I actually feel like everything is very like lived in and cluttered. Maybe because the pieces I chose seem like kind of eclectic. Like this little wall thing is very cluttered, and then the details on this chase lounger, and I tried to make sure I cluttered up, you know, the fireplace and whatnot. Lots of fireplaces in here, but overall I really like the way it came out, and I love the way these archways from the Cozy Bistro kit look. I mean, I'm obsessed. And then you don't have to worry about your Sims actually walking out here, because these are actually fake wall things that I sized up from the like outdoor wall sculpture thing, and they come from Love Struck, and I just sized them up one time like so, and they just look perfect. She also has this nice little like ensuite bathroom. I think it came out really good. I even cluttered up the bathroom. Who am I making different bathrooms? Next, we have one of my favorite areas in probably the whole house, because it just is giving, I don't know, just like something about it does something to my girl boss soul. And I am also obsessed with the fact that I managed to use this vampire fireplace, and it's also the third fireplace in the whole house. I feel like the overall room really shares something like kind of old school and also very modern about it at the same time. It's like sleek but cluttered and warm. It's kind of giving like a more feminine version of like when you see a whiskey commercial and it's like some deep voice Yahoo in his like mahogany wood book place talking about beer stuff and horses. I don't know. I feel like you guys kind of know what I'm talking about, but if you don't say nothing. We also have an additional hall bath. It's a little lighter and brighter, and that's because I wanted it to match this room, which is also, I guess, essentially another guest room. But this room is beautiful and pink, and it actually reminds me of one of my friends, Morgan. She's a pink girly through and through, and I feel like I was really channeling her vibe when I was in here. And overall, I really like the way it came out. I did want to make it more for like a teen, just so it was kind of functional if you did decide to download this apartment and play in it. And this room is ginormous. I would absolutely have loved it. I would love it now. I would love it now, actually. So I'm not even going to say when I would have loved it. Right now is in this moment. That brings us back outside. The patio is nothing special. It doesn't really relate to the storyline at all. But I am happy with the way it came out. I'm going to get a screenshot because this is the best angle I've gotten the whole time. I just want to point out this has been so difficult to get like good screenies. I hope I can. But that brings us to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a little thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. I'm also going to link down at the end of this video. I have like a little playlist on my channel for other various builds I have done inspired by my own personal choice in reading. I think it's pretty fun. It's got some good yap sessions in it. So if you want to check that out, I would love that as well. And with that being said, make sure you're nice to each other, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.